Hello, all you positive heads out there. Thanks for tuning your beautiful brainwaves into another episode of the Positive Head Podcast, where we are firmly convinced that creating success and happiness is rooted in understanding the ultimate nature of reality and the fact that as human beings, we are all immensely powerful fractals of the one and only source consciousness, which creates and animates all things. Now, of course, understanding this powerful truth is one thing. Applying this incredibly empowering wisdom to everyday life? Well, that's another, which is exactly why we provide you with a fresh serving of soul food for thought 5 days a week to help constantly remind you of what matters most. You are it. And I'm your host, Brandon Beecham. I'm the reflection and extension of you who will be here each Wednesday interviewing a different consciousness changemaker. And on the other 4 weekdays, leading the way to ensure that your perspective is consistently expanded, your vibration is constantly elevated, and your heart is overflowing and full. Also, this episode of the Positive Head Podcast is being brought to you thanks to the support of Gaia. If you're not familiar, Gaia is the go-to source for streaming consciousness content online, and you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. Check it out. All right, all you positive heads, welcome to the show. So happy to be back here with you all again to explore consciousness, creating our reality, manifesting in this time-space continuum we call planet Earth. It's a joy to be here with you all, as always. So, jumping into today's episode, I don't have any reviews to read. If you haven't reviewed on iTunes, you guys know I love my iTunes reviews. They help us to reach new people and certainly help to fuel my fire. So now would be a great time to go and review if you've been thinking about doing so and haven't. Also, little business, make sure and send in questions if you have not ever done so, or if you feel inclined to do so, rather. I love getting questions from you guys and addressing some of them on the show. Can't really get to all of them, but sometimes, if something is in the flow and something feels right and it comes across, I will address it. And it's a great way for me to connect with you guys and to, to sort of have you co-create what we talk about here on our show. Also, if you haven't joined the Positive Heads Facebook group, please do that or consider doing that. It is a wonderful spot to connect with other people, almost 3,000 people or so. It's growing all the time, and a lot of support goes on there. A lot of, it's a private group, so you can open up about private topics that you don't necessarily want shared across Facebook. And it's a wonderful, wonderful gathering of P-heads, as I affectionately call you guys. And would love to see you there if you're not there already. All right. So today I have decided to address a little further, to dig a little deeper into the show from a few days ago where I talked about procrastination. And how, of course, getting in alignment is the most important thing, was what we took away from that. But I feel like, this is a really big one in a lot of our lives, right? How often, I bet everyone listening can relate, is either currently feeling this or has felt this, where it feels overwhelming to do the things that you feel like you should be doing or you want to be doing, but yet there's some level of blockage within yourself. So, we talked a lot about it on the last episode a couple days ago, and I had heard another video from Abraham where she gives a cool technique for how to deal with procrastination and how to sort of break big things down into little things. And I thought it was worthy of sharing and continuing down this path a little bit further. The other thing that's not too far off from this whole idea of procrastination, what happens then, it can spiral into, is sometimes like, self-deprecation. So procrastination leads to self-deprecation, leads to pouting, leads to, I'm unhappy with what I'm getting or what I'm doing. And all of this turns into a spiral in the wrong direction, right? So how do we step out of this self-deprecating spiral and to move into our power and trust and knowing that, hey, if something isn't here, there's nothing more powerful than a idea whose time has come, right? There's a season for everything. And when we start to first understand, maybe this just isn't the season. Maybe I'm still dealing with these blockages in myself. I don't need to beat myself up for it. I don't need to pout about it. Instead, I need to trust that I am first getting into alignment, knowing how worthy you are. And this is something that I circle time and time and time again. How often we forget our power, and just the fact that you've made it here, you've made it this far, you're listening to this broadcast, you are resonating with some of the information. You may be having moments of self-deprecation and procrastination and getting down on yourself, but you also are making great progress simultaneously. So what do we focus on? Which one do you think? Anyone got the answer? I bet you do. Let's focus on what the progress that we've made. Let's start trusting more that it is working itself out, that we are, and a lot of, blockage comes from thinking these small thoughts about ourselves. And if you can get back in tune with what I talked about on that other episode, don't you know yet? It's your light that lights the worlds. You truly are the center of your own universe. And I will say that, I will circle your universe time and time and time again, because it's everything. And if instead of doubting yourself, trusting that you're working through it and that you will work through it, and to just shift your focus. And of course, having techniques for overcoming procrastination and self-deprecation and these things are always super helpful. So I love it when any teacher has a good technique to share. And so this one, I actually found this clip on the Endless Inspiration YouTube page. It's called How to Get Things Done When You Don't Feel Like Doing Anything. And it's Abraham. And she actually goes into multiple things that all tie together and are all related and super helpful. So let's take a listen.
I have a long-term vision of what I am creating, but I get sidestepped on a daily basis with the short term. I don't really feel like doing this particular step right now. I don't really feel like doing this particular thing today. On multiple subjects.
Is that a bad thing or a good thing?
I want to be really sleek and toned and in shape, but I just seem to never feel like working out today, and it's always today. Or I want this one particular company to build it to $100 million company, but I don't ever feel like doing the email marketing campaign today, and it's always today. So I just have been a little bit stuck in that.
But the question that we have is, what do you feel like doing? Are you feeling like doing something?
So it varies. So some days, yes, and I'm living a really good life, but some days, no, I don't feel like doing anything.
We've been saying a lot recently. Mm-hmm. The last several gatherings, we've been really emphasizing that we would encourage that everyone do 30% less, 40% less. We've been encouraging that people do 50% less, 60%. We've been encouraging that people do about 70% less, 75% less of what they have been doing. Yeah. And more contemplating, more visualizing, more taking pleasure from life, more vibrational work, less action work. And so that's part of what's happening to you, is that you're beginning to understand where your true leverage is. Mm-hmm. And it's a hard adjustment, because you know from past experience, from watching yourself and watching others, that when you really apply yourself, that you can make some things happen. But when you're talking about things of this magnitude, when you're talking about that sort of leverage, now you've got to tap into a vibrational leverage. Some years ago, Jerry read a book many, many, many years ago. Alan Laken had written it, and it was a self-help book, and it was called How to Get Control of Your Time in Life. And the only thing that Jerry recalled from the book that he then talked to Esther about was a process called the Swiss cheese process. And what the basis of it was that there are some things that you can accomplish very quickly. It only takes a minute or 10 minutes or maybe even an hour. So if it's on your list today, you can get it done if you apply yourself. You can use things like willpower and diligence and determination to make yourself do those things. And you can get a reasonable number of those done. But there are those larger things like writing a book or getting yourself in shape or creating a financial empire, or even doing your income taxes, or cleaning out your garage. In other words, those things that you're not going to do in an hour, that would take maybe more than a day or maybe more than a week. And so those are the things that you tend to not apply yourself at. You procrastinate. You don't make any effort. And so he suggested that you take those big things and you break them down into smaller things. So Esther takes a big piece of paper and she puts holes all over it, making it look like Swiss cheese, and then writes all of the different aspects of everything about this project. What's it going to take to do all of this? And then when she looks at it, she just picks one of those and asks herself if she feels like doing it. And something that she has discovered is that she often does feel like doing it. She often feels like doing it because the overwhelmment factor isn't there, and the rational factor that says, I'm not going to be able to begin to accomplish this all right now. You kept saying, right now, right here, right now, right here, right now. But a piece of it may be. But here's the thing. This is the piece that we want to put into this. Is there anything on this Swiss cheese list that I want to do right now? Not that I need to do right now. Is there any piece of this that I'm called to? And what Esther's discovered is, yeah. She keeps feeling called to that and called to that. And sometimes she'll sit and she'll complete 3 or 4 things in one day as she's moving about because she wants to do it, not because she needs to do it. And that really is the key. It's another way to overcome resistance. It's sort of like the placemat process that we talked about before, where in a feeling of overwhelmment, delegating it to the universe, don't assign it to yourself. So, did anything shift in that conversation?
It did. It did, just the feeling of, because everything that I feel like I must do next for this one particular company, Lesson Stop is, I don't want to do. But I'm certain that if I lay it out in a map, the way that you suggested, there will be things.
So what's this conversation saying? Always follow your path of least resistance. Let's take this further. We've not had this conversation before with anyone. Let's take this further. Why take the path of least resistance? Because it's the only choice you have. And here's the big piece. Your inner being knows what is the path of least resistance. So you've got to give yourself permission to take that path of least resistance. And most of you don't want to do that because then you define yourself as lazy or inappropriate or unfocused or unwilling, and that's just not the case. Let's say it in this way. Path of least resistance is the way the entire universe operates. Path of least resistance is the only way that things operate in a natural way. Path of least resistance is the only way, the only sustainable way for energy to flow. Path of least resistance is a good thing because path of least resistance and path of most allowance are the same thing. Path of least resistance is a good thing. So am I inappropriate that I don't feel like doing all of those things? Certainly not. There's resistance that's keeping me from wanting to do them. And so it's releasing that resistance that is necessary right now. You're going to have fun with that. You think we got to the bottom of it?
Of that, yes.
What else?
Relationships. So I met a really wonderful man. I date wonderful, amazing men. And he's in Boulder. I lived there part-time. And we were communicating for 6 weeks before we met in person. We met through mutual friends, and we were so excited to meet each other. And then it was off when we met each other in person in a really weird way. And so I just kept pulling back and remembering all the things that I really like about him. But all of a sudden he's like, I'm just terrified of having a girlfriend. I'm like, well, you could have mentioned that when we were talking. But so I've just been really chill about it in general, and I'm letting it unfold. And I am using it in a different way than I've ever used a relationship before,
so
mentally.
Let's apply this path of least resistance, Swiss cheese to this.
Okay. I like it.
Because there are things about it. In other words, what's different about the communication that you were having before you met?
He said it just wasn't real to him, so he could just be in his mind about this perfect relationship, and then all of the fears that he has around relationships came up, that it would be really hard work and all of this stuff, and I'm like, my relationships actually aren't like that. But he can't hear that, and I don't want to try and convince him of anything.
So let's just say, because it is true, that it isn't that at a distance you looked better and up close you didn't look so good. In physical ways or in personality ways, it's not that. Let's just say that at a distance you didn't look so real and up close you looked real. Let's just say that at a distance it felt more free and up close it felt less free. So it isn't about inappropriateness, it's more about readiness, and readiness is about path of least resistance. So the question that we have for you is this a project worth completing?
I actually just last night was saying to my best girlfriend, I don't need another project. But I'm being open.
But isn't everything really a project?
I suppose.
In other words, we're not talking about you fixing him or making, we're talking about you finding the unconditioned in it enough. Not needing his response to be a certain thing in order for you to feel good. Being able to continue to focus upon the positive aspects and hold yourself in that place of alignment. Because when you do that, that takes a condition out of it, the very condition that is frightening him.
Yes.
Because there isn't anything more uncomfortable for someone who's been free-wielding than to believe that they have to change their behavior in order to accommodate someone else. And yet, when you come together in sort of a cooperative dance, there is a compatibility that is important. Do you believe that you discovered compatibility on most subjects before you met?
Yes.
And so can you feel that it isn't about lack of compatibility, it's more about lack of readiness, and lack of readiness is about alignment only, you see. If we were standing in your physical shoes, and we had discovered an object of attention that makes our heart sing on most fronts, we would focus on the heart singing, not the situation that is making it sing. Right. And when you do that, it'll either fall into place or something else will.
That has been my practice.
It will either fall into place or something else will. And it's true of everything. Let's just have this experience a lot. Have you ever purchased what appeared to be the perfect piece of furniture for a place, and then you found something else to go there that was perfect, but then they weren't perfect together? So the perfect piece of furniture is no longer perfect, but the rug that you put down is. So now the piece of furniture has to go. As your life continues to evolve, your criteria changes and your desires change and what you're asking for changes, and it's always going to be like that. So you're not looking for the perfect anything. You're just looking for the most situations that you can feel the best about. But when you decide to be unconditional, then you put all the conditions aside and you just decide how you want to feel, and you start focusing on that, and then things just start syncing up with those feelings, because your inner being, the source within you, knows everything that will surprise and delight you to the furthest extent that you have currently decided. It's so much fun when you relax and stop trying so hard to be a deliberate creator and accept that you are already that, and that things are unfolding perfectly for you, and that your work is just to stay as happy in the project process as you can at any moment in time. You're not ever going to back off, because your desire for more from that broader perspective has so much momentum. Yeah.
I have one more quick question correlating that, because with this relationship, I've done something that I've never done before. I took about a year and a half off of dating entirely, and just realize that I am freaking awesome, and whatever guy ends up with me literally is like the luckiest guy on planet Earth. So it is okay with me whether or not that sorts out. And so I've been being really chill and just watching what happens and only sending messages when I feel really, really good and really in alignment. And then I'm wanting to take that practice and put it into like sales for my new company, which feels far more significant and important than the relationship, because the relationship sort of feels handled. And it's harder for me to do that, like you were talking about with the other people, because it does feel more serious. So how do I translate that?
Well, there's a little vibrational contradiction in what you just said and what you were saying earlier.
Okay.
In the sense that your relationship doesn't feel handled.
Oh, okay.
Does it?
Well, it feels like the right one is coming for sure. And it's either him or it's someone else, for sure.
So do you believe that relative to the relationship, contrary to the conversation we just had, that you are in an unconditional place about it? That you know how you want the relationship to feel, and that you feel the ease of patience of just waiting for it to come into place?
More so than I ever have before. Because of this relationship that just happened, not prior to it. Because of going through this and having to just remind myself that I get to run the show. It is the way that I want it to be. I don't have to bend around to something different.
So you don't have to bend around to something different in terms of compromising or changing, but you do have to, bend around isn't the word that we want to use, you do have to find constant, steady alignment with who you really are and how you really feel. So give us 5 non-conditions relative to relationship. So we're looking for emotional words. My relationship is, yes?
My relationship is flow, ease, home, sensual, steady.
All right. Now give us 5 relative to business.
Exhilaration, exploring.
We think they're the same in terms of flow and steady.
Yes.
But with the business, you have higher anticipation about it. You're a little more sure-footed about it. So the word exhilaration didn't come up in the relationship, but it did come up in the business. So go a little further with exhilaration relative to the business.
In emotional terms?
In emotional terms.
I'm just creating something that is brand new, that has never been done before.
All right, now
it's exhilarating.
Apply that to relationship.
Oh. Yeah, the type of relationships that I create are different. They're really good feeling and flowing.
Something that has never been before, something that is unique to who we are, something that is unexpected maybe. You see what we're getting at? Because you're steady on all fronts, really, and eager on all fronts, really. And the feeling of flow, you understand it when you've got it, and you can feel when you're bumping around a little bit. But the feeling of flow, we like that word flow, and we like the word ease, and we like the word clarity, and they are all almost identical vibrational properties. Ease, flow, and clarity are what alignment really are all about, because when you're in sync like that, that's how it feels. It's the absence of struggle. And so just keep doing what you're doing. But if we were standing in your physical shoes, the difference that we would do now from anything that you've done before, we would pronounce ourselves as an emotional, vibrational powerhouse. We would accept that that's where the power is, because we hear you and feel you often feeling powerful, but you're not putting it in the alignment as much as you are in the manipulating of the condition or the orchestrating of condition to which you can have a feeling response. Put it there and watch what happens.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I love how she starts this out. You know, do 20% less, do 30, no, do 50, do 75% less than what you've been doing. What's her point? do more contemplation and vibrational work, this is where your leverage is. And if you want to do really big things and you have a vision of really grandiose results in your life, right? I know I can relate to that perspective my whole life, always having these big ideas and, I'm going to conquer the world and create this and that and the other. And, you really need to work on the thing that you guys have heard me talking about. I have been working on less doing and more vibrational leverage. You really need to bring in the big guns, right? To create the magic you want. The good news is it's your power. It's your natural birthright. And you just have to learn how to refocus to do it. Right? To do big things, you got to tap into your vibrational leverage. And I love this. And it's one of the main reasons I shared this video and kind of came back and circled back on this topic for further examination, exploration, clarification, was this Swiss cheese process, right? You procrastinate on bigger things. They seem so big. What is the saying, the quote? The longest journey begins with one step. That's essentially what she's doing here. Break things down into little things. I love that. Writing them down and then sort of going through it. It's not so different than using your intuition like the compass, like Colby talked about the other day, right? It's tapping in. Once again, you're looking within to see how you feel, right? So in this case, you're writing these things down, breaking them into little, making Swiss cheese on a paper and writing these little things down and then going over them. Oh, how does this one make me feel? How does this one make me feel? Oh, wow. I just came across one and I feel compelled to do it. Well, guess what? That's the one you should be doing now. So when you can move into the understanding that the universe will supply you the power you need in it's kind of like they say when you need a particular food, maybe you're missing a particular vitamin, you'll start craving that food. Right? We're tapping into the wisdom that is beyond thinking. Meanwhile, we're trying to create all this magic in our life with just thinking. Let's tap into the wisdom, the same wisdom that tells you to, eat a banana when you need more potassium or whatever. So same exact thing. Let's tap into the wisdom that knows which movement you should do next. Now, when you have, you don't eat the whole apple in one bite, right? So if you break it into little bite-sized pieces and then you examine those pieces and see which one feels do I feel drawn to? I'm tapping into my inner guidance. And when you start playing with your higher self and the universe in this way, now you're teaming up with your higher self in a way that is super productive. The key, she said, is to find out what you want to do, not what you need to do. This is a way to overcome resistance. Always follow your path of least resistance. That's not laziness. Your inner being knows what that is. It's the way, she mentions, the path of least resistance is the way the entire universe works. That's not laziness. That's working smarter, not harder, right? It is the only sustainable way for energy to flow. Forcing a square peg in a round hole doesn't ever work. Not for long. It's going to exhaust you and you're going to have a rickety boat. So, path of least resistance is equivalent to the path of most allowance, right? Two sides of the same coin. And, she touches on here, focusing on your heart singing in a situation. She goes into, talking about this person's relationship and sort of kind of starts tying it together into real life scenarios. Focus on the heart singing, not the situation that is making it sing. When you do that, it's going to either fall into place or something else will. So this is bringing back in that trust piece. It's, it is, understanding this furniture example she gave. It's things are constantly going to be changing in and out. What was right for you today isn't necessarily right for you tomorrow. One thing that's guaranteed in life is what? Only one thing, change. So, instead of doing what I've done so much of, trying to be a deliberate creator, understanding that you are that by default and your job is to be happy where you are with what you've already created. She talked about the words flow, which you hear me talk about a lot, ease, clarity. These are alignment. It's the absence of struggle. And really, to really tie it all together at the end, pronouncing yourself as an emotional, vibrational powerhouse. This is where your true power to create lies, right? Once again, pronounce yourself right in this moment. You say it to yourself. I am an emotional, vibrational powerhouse. She says, put this in alignment more than in the conditions and watch the results that you get. This is where your power is. You have all the power right where you sit to shift worlds. Isn't that exciting? Have you heard me talk about it before? Well, you hear me talk about it again over and over and over. Yes. And it never gets old because we need to hear it over and over and over again, because what are we doing? In that moment, in this moment, we are becoming emotional, vibrational powerhouses together. We're tapping in to that collective field right this moment. And we need to keep bringing it back. It's working out the muscle. We're working out this muscle. We're getting better every day. The time has come to turn your heart into a temple of fire, Rumi said. Your essence is gold hidden in dust. To reveal its splendor, you need to burn in the fire of love. Self-love is what I would say. So it's all within you. You are it. Don't you know yet? It is your light that lights the worlds. You are a volume in the divine book, a mirror to the power that created the universe. Whatever you want, ask it of it yourself. Whatever you're looking for can only be found inside of you. Another Rumi quote. Well, we're out of imaginary time for this episode. Although, the good news, there's plenty more where that came from. We'll never run out. Isn't that wonderful? You'll always be in another now. Can't you just find some joy and relief in that? Relax knowing you'll always be, always have been, and change is guaranteed. So if there's something that you maybe want to see change, great. Love it. Bless it up, because it's giving you that contrast. It's helping you to define what you call in next with your vibrational powerhouseness. All right, all you vibrational powerhouses, thank you for being. Love you all. I do have a song to leave you with. This is Ecuador and David O'Dowda reworking the song You'll Be Okay by Tiny Leaves. Very mellow, beautiful track. Hope you enjoy. Until next time, journey well. Also, if you're craving more consciousness elevating content, be sure to check out Gaia, which is my personal go-to source for streaming consciousness content on the web, where you can stream an incredible 7,000 plus exclusive videos covering 5,000 years of wisdom. As you all hear me constantly say, it's a daily conscious effort to maintain an elevated vibration. And if you're looking to journey deep down the rabbit hole to do so, then Gaia is the best place I know of to do it, period. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. Check it out.
It's wings of folded paper.